Welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just like 60 seconds. For those online, if you want to just make sure that you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization, that would be awesome. I am Lisa Cruz with the Multicultural Coalition. Welcome again, everybody. We're so excited that you're here today. I love having these meetings in person, I have to admit. At first I wasn't sure, but I'm leaning toward the in-person. However, welcome to those online, and I can see quite a few are joining us online as well. So somebody pointed out to me last meeting that there are a couple housekeeping things we want to make sure that we acknowledge. Is that the bathrooms are like right out this door down that hallway, super close, and then also looking at exits, obviously we have the exit doors right over here too. So I just want to make sure we have that available to everyone, so you know, if you haven't helped yourself to lunch, please do so, and don't be shy, because if you don't eat it, we know who's going to be eating it back at the office.
I love it, but I can't do it anymore.
I know. It's been 2 years of a lot of eating. We're trying to cut back. Let's see. So a couple things on the agenda. So we did the housekeeping. If you do have an update for your organization, something that you're going to share at the end of today's meeting, we're going to ask you to come up here and share with us. Do it a little bit differently. I don't know if most of you were at the last meeting. There's some of us running around like crazy. So we're just going to do it a little bit different. We have a full packed agenda for today. And with that, I want to make sure that we turn it over to Phil from the Cozy Kitchen, who has provided lunch for today. I was just sharing with William Green that since we started with our outreach and event, the COVID clinics or events like this, we have been very intentional about supporting our own local minoritized small businesses. So in that space and time for the past 2.5 years, literally just making sure that we reached out and utilized their services as much as possible. So with that, Phil, would you mind coming up here, just sharing a little bit with us about the Cozy Kitchen?
Hi everybody, my name is Philip Bennett. I live in Appleton. I've been living here for about 13 years. I came here from Racine, Wisconsin. I was living there pretty much my whole life. But yeah, I own Cozy Corner. Me and my wife Heidi, we've been owning it. It's been around for about 12 years. We bought it probably 5 years ago, and I just bought it because I knew how to cook and I didn't want to work a real job. But it turns out this more work. Because I was, prior to this, I was a supervisor at Nina Foundry for like 10 years. So also with this, I own this Cozy Corner. I own a Cozy Express inside of the Fox River Mall. I own a barbershop in the Fox River Mall called Legends Custom Styles. I own a clothing store inside the Fox River Mall called Indie Fits and Fashions. I'm actually Will's barber. Cut his hair every week. I also own another restaurant in Green Bay called Porky's Shakes and Ribs and Shakes. I also own another restaurant in Racine named Golden Chicken, and everything I have here I actually have in Racine. So I have another Envy in Racine, another Envy in Kenosha, and we own like, I think it's like 22 duplexes, like Nina, Menasha, Appleton. So I'm a busy person every day.
Thanks for making time for us.
Right. But yeah, but it's not as hard as people think. You know, I got a lot of good help, and we kind of maintain everything on our own. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you for sharing and being a part of this today. As one entrepreneur to the other, you make it look very easy. So thank you again. So just wanted to also express our gratitude to Fox Valley Technical College for continuing to let us host our events here. And again, a little bit of context. and I know it's confusing, so MCC stands for the Multicultural Communications Committee. This committee is how the 501c3 started, which is the Multicultural Coalition. So I personally have a hard time taking the emphasis off the communications because I think it's so vastly needed when it comes to connecting people and resources and getting rid of barriers. So at some point we'll change the name of these meetings, but I just have to let go of that a little bit. So just a little bit of the context for you. So with that, we have a few community updates at your places. You will see we have a number of events coming up. These are smaller kind of versions of COVID vaccination clinics. They will be taking place at Newmont Professionals Killer Building on Northland and Ballard. So all are welcome. I think we have 4 dates scheduled on that, if that is correct. So we're excited to be there beginning this Thursday. One other thing we just wanted to draw your attention to is the We Heart You app. I'm not sure if we have anybody here from Winnebago County. Oh my gosh, oh yes, Susan, yes, did you want to speak at all about that?
Sure, I mean, it's just, so anyone that, attended, there was a We Heart You event that took place, I'm trying to think like what, time warps, right, I think it was it could have been 2021, I think is the year it happened. So it was a big event to bring, awareness to, substance use and all of the resources and all of the services that are in our community, mental health and substance use, and really to let people know that really there are people in their corner to all throughout our community to offer up support and get people the services they need and to help. So this We Heart You app is really to put this succinctly in one place for people easily to access that and continue to look up services and continue to reach out when help is needed. So if you can share that app out with everyone and we'll continue these services, and if you have any suggestions or things you think we're missing, please reach out.
I think, Susan, I had reached out to Ashley to ask, will it eventually be translated, available in other languages?
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining that that's part of this. They wanted to get it launched, but
Yeah.
I'll actually follow up with that as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. So we just wanted to make sure we put a spotlight on that as well. Let's see, a couple other things. If you need to be added to our email list or these events, correct? We have an email list and we have an events list. Please use the email admin@ourmci.org, and I think we have it down here, yep, right at the top. That'll just help us as we're trying to streamline our processes. And upcoming events, anything else that I missed?
No, these are just all examples of things that can be emailed to that address.
Okay, yeah, because I think most of you have seen the e-newsletter that we put out, and it is chock full of information. And that just goes back to how we started, making sure our communities of color are a priority in those communications and information up front. So please use that email. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to do our introduction for today's presentation. Thank you, Sarah. I'm gonna grab my coffee though.
Hello, everybody. It is so great to see you again. I concur, Lisa. Going in person is truly our better option. But for those of you online, sorry you couldn't join us and enjoy this great food. Anybody else use their air conditioning today in the car? I was like, I refused to turn it on until I got to a point where I'm like, I got it. I just got it. This is a great day to be celebrated. And in addition to our program today, super incredible. Get ready to go eat with your cuz, because we've got a lineup that is going to be pretty dynamic in the area. Specifically, we have 3 speakers from Goodwill, Rawhide, Youth Services, and Fox Valley Technical College, along with a couple of guests that I will introduce also alongside of them quickly and briefly. But Courtney first, Kayla Company One of the first people I met when I joined Valley Transit, fell in love with her from the moment, still can't say her name. Director of Programs and Partnerships at Goodwill and has been a part of Goodwill Industries North Central Wisconsin's mission team since November 2013. She started with the organization as a case manager, providing vocational rehabilitation and employment services to individuals with disabilities. Since her start, she has had the opportunity to serve individuals with different roles, including social skills instructor, program leader for Goodwill, the project search team and program, and she's the director of programs and partnerships, which is her current role. She also has 2 young children and enjoys spending time with her family, friends, and nature, especially this time of year, I'm sure. Carissa Buchanan is a behavioral health care leader who specializes in strategic growth, trauma-informed care, and leadership development. She currently works at Rawhide Youth Services as a senior strategic planning manager, where she oversees the Career EXCELerate Wisconsin program. So excited for you guys to hear more about this. Carissa leads the team of mental health experts in building relationships and supporting students as they move through the program. She also provides trauma-informed care trainings to instructors and various community partners to increase awareness of the impact trauma has on one's functionality. She graduated with her master's degree in clinical psychology and has worked in the nonprofit behavioral health field for over 10 years. And she lives in the Fox Valley area, enjoying reading, hiking, and traveling. And our last, Chris Grohl is a higher education professional with an interest in bringing career and economic development opportunities to our community. She serves organizations in Fox Valley College's district by matching employer training, technical assistance, and assessment needs to college resources to meet organizational goals. Love that. Chris earned her master's in leadership and organizational development and enjoys using her education to help organizations continue to develop through training. Chris is proud of her Fox Valley Tech loyal family, including her husband, Paul, who serves as department chair and instructor in the Natural Resources program, as well as 2 children who also graduated from this college, as have I one. Today, we will get to learn more about the training in the career training program called Career EXCELerate. Career EXCELerate is offered at no cost to individuals who continue to face ongoing challenges from the pandemic and who want the opportunity to earn an educational certificate to launch a lasting career. So in addition to Kayla, Chris, and Carissa, we have Mike and we have Rebecca who are joining us today. And I'll let you ladies give a little bit deeper intro to them, but Rebecca's with Rawhide and Mike is also with Goodwill. And so without further ado, I'd love to pass the mics over and allow you ladies and gentlemen to take stage.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on Fox Valley Technical College campus. I'm proud to welcome all of you on behalf of all of my colleagues that are here in the room today. As mentioned, I'm Chris Grohl. I'm an account manager across the street at Bordini Center in the Business and Industry Services area of the college. I've had the opportunity to be involved in this program from its inception and from the grant writing stage 1 year ago. And so I'm proud to be able to represent and help share the message today. So just a brief overview of what we'll be talking about. Basically, what is the program? How is it identified as a need? How is it built? What does it involve? And then we'll talk about how our 3 agencies are really working together to provide this amazing opportunity to our community.
All right, so we are here today to talk about Career EXCELerate because there's a national crisis. We have a shortage of workers. We saw that occur during the pandemic and it has continued post-pandemic life. Pretty much every industry across the nation is struggling to find workers and they are struggling to maintain their employers as well. If you look at statistics today, for every person looking for a job, there are 2 open positions. So this means that if someone gets fired or they decide they don't like their job today, they can walk out of their current job and likely get a job by that afternoon because there are so many opportunities for employment. It also means that we as the organizations are fighting over the same workers, right? We are seeing that there's only so many qualified workers and we have openings. So the state of Wisconsin wanted to help solve this problem by financially supporting a collaborative and innovative program. So the workforce development grants are looking for programs to help increase the amount of workers that we have in the state of Wisconsin. And so as our 3 organizations started to collaborate and look through, what do these programs need? What are the common threads of why we are having a worker shortage? And one of the barriers that they found is that people are struggling with mental health.
That was rude.
And then can you put that on there? Yes, I put your, oh my God, sorry. Oh gosh, thank you. So we are seeing that there is a significant increase in mental health concerns across the state of Wisconsin. NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, did a recent study and they found that young adults ages 18 to 25, 1 out of 3 young adults are experiencing mental illness. We've also seen mental illness and mental health struggles increase significantly since the pandemic. Usually when you talk about statistics, numbers don't increase very much over the years, right? Things are relatively stable. What we found from a lot of different studies is that the numbers rose astronomically during the pandemic and have continued post-pandemic. So Brown University did a study in 2019 through 2021. Adults reported about 8% of adults endorsed having symptoms of depression in 2019. That number rose over 20% to 33% of adults in 2021 indicated that they experienced symptoms of depression on an ongoing basis. And then we look at anxiety. We looked at a study, this was August of last year, so 2022. Kaiser Family Foundation and CNN polled adults across the United States ages 18 to 30. And what they found was 52% of young adults reported feeling anxious always or often. So imagine feeling anxiety to the point of struggling to get up in the morning, go to your job, go to school. Over half of our young adults right now are struggling with anxiety at that level. Of those adults who said that they have anxiety almost every day, a third of them said their mental health is only fair or poor. So we really need to look at how can we wrap around and support the next generation and make those supports available so they can be successful in their education and their employment. One of the things that we also looked at was trauma. We know that people have experienced a lot of trauma, right? We all went through a type of trauma with the global pandemic. And so we started looking at trauma and mental health. One of the ways that you can study that is through an assessment called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Assessment. It looks at 10 possible different traumas and you score yourself. If you've experienced that childhood trauma, you would have a score anywhere from 0 to 10. 60% of adults, so if we looked at all of us in this room, 60% of us would have one childhood trauma that happened, right? So this could be anything from abuse, neglect, witnessing significant violence, having the death of a loved one occur in childhood. We also know that from that assessment, 25% of children have 2 or more significant traumas in their childhood. So then we started to look a little closer to home. Here in Northeast Wisconsin, we have over 240,000 adults who have had 3 or more significant childhood traumas occur. So we have a huge community of people who are experiencing difficult childhoods. They may not have had enough mental health care and support, and we have an ongoing need to treat anxiety, depression, and other mental health concerns in our community. So we know that mental health concerns need to be addressed. And how do we best do that? As we were writing for this grant, we found some research that showed the benefits of getting a technical education. Even a few credits of technical education can make a huge difference in somebody's ability to obtain and keep a job. So they found a study in 2006, they looked at high school students who had mental or behavioral health disabilities. And just over half of those high school students were able to get a job once they graduated. So they probably had the support of their teachers, their parents, right? 18, 19, 20 years old, they're graduating, getting a job. However, what's concerning is that after 2 years, only 30% of them still had employment. And that's where we really wanted to target our focus, right? How do we help individuals get a job and maintain that job and have a successful career? And what this study found was that just 4 credits of technical education made a significant difference in people's ability to keep the jobs that they had. And so that's really our goal, is to help provide that long-term employment.
So we know a couple of things to be true.
Yep.
Okay, we know a couple of things to be true. So one is the national crisis for worker shortages, right? 2 is the increase in mental health struggles. And our 3 agencies have partnered together in the past in different ways, but never quite in this way before. We recognize that each of our agencies had certain strengths to bring to the table, that if we could work together and create some wraparound support for individuals in our community, we could help address both of these crises that we know and see are happening here in the Fox Valley. So enter Career EXCELerate. It's a new program. This is the grant that we had written for and were awarded by the state of Wisconsin. And essentially you can see up on the screen here, but the tagline is to create that long-term employment pathway for individuals with mental health and or behavioral struggles. So what does that look like? We've got our 3 agencies coming together. Each of our agencies specializes in a certain element of this program. We've existed in the Fox Valley separately for quite a while. Like I mentioned, we've partnered in different ways before across our 3 agencies, but now really came together to say, gosh, I know that Fox Valley Tech specializes in educational pathways and really training people to be successful in the workforce, getting them certified in certain pathways, things of that nature. We know that Rawhide serves individuals who might be experiencing mental health struggles and are really well versed in that field. We know that Goodwill serves individuals with employment services, people of all different backgrounds, to do some skill building in order to help people find sustained employment. And we also know that sometimes our workforce development systems can be a little bit segmented. We all exist, we work hard, we kind of stay in our lane, but there is an opportunity for us to come together and serve holistically in this way. So you also, as Sarah had mentioned as well, this is a free program for students too. It's covered through grant monies, which is really exciting because we want to try to remove any barriers that we can to help people enter, re-enter, or stay in the workforce in this way. So we're going to dive into what each agency specializes in. So if you're referring individuals to this program, this is the type of service that they can expect from Goodwill, Rawhide, and Fox Valley Technical College. So Goodwill, we have wraparound case management support. What does that look like in action? So we know that there's some barriers to people obtaining and maintaining employment. That could be wraparound support, such as transportation barriers, childcare barriers, financial or housing barriers. We're here to connect those pieces for people. So we have different contacts for what we call stability partners to help someone stabilize in their life. And we're not just going to hand someone a number to call, but we're going to connect them with the people that we know. And we're going to research those things for an individual, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, researching those things in our community can be overwhelming in itself and add to that feeling that you already have. So we're going to do that. We're going to help connect people to different supports in the community. We are also going to provide employability and soft skills training. So we have curriculum that is vetted. It's a nationwide curriculum, which is exciting, that helps people with soft skills. So stress management, interactions with others, time management, dependability, motivation. things that all of us might struggle with from time to time, but this takes a deeper dive into it. And it gives different tactics and strategies that individuals can utilize to help be successful. And will help to continue to provide that case management support to ensure that they're applying strategies and troubleshooting strategies with them. We also have employability skills training. So that can be anything from how to interview, practicing interviewing, how to job search, how to network, things of that nature, how you create a resume. Additionally, we have financial literacy coaching. So we have a program that was previously called FISC, and now it's called Financial Debt Solution Services. Those are a team of talented people that are financial counselors that help individuals create budgets, maintain budgets, things like that. And then employment placement and retention. So we will help connect people to employers, as will the other agencies that we are partnered with, and then provide employment retention support. So people will go through this educational pathway that we'll talk a little bit more about. And then following completion of their pathway, we'll help them find employment in their industry and then provide 1 year of case management retention support for that person.
All right, so when those candidates have been identified and they've worked with Goodwill on the onboarding and vetting and getting the skills and the training or the resources that they need to be successful, that's where we come in with what we do best, the technical training. So Fox Valley Technical College and a group of the organizations identified 8 pathways, which you can see here as the targeted pathways that are involved in this initiative. They span a variety of industries, and they were identified for several reasons. First of all, we wanted to appeal to people who have different interests in what they might want to do with their career. Also looking for pathways that have a lot of job openings, where we know completers will have no trouble finding an employer who would be happy to take them on with employment. When you look at these pathways, they're handled just like any other pathway at the college. They're taught by our FETC instructors. Most often they're held here at the Appleton campus, although we have the ability to go to our regional centers or Oshkosh, depending on the interest and the cohort that we've built. In addition to the instructors in the classroom, we've also brought on some specialized adult education assistants. So if there are students that need a little bit of extra tutoring with their area of study, we have that in place as well. And then once they complete this pathway, we have good resources like Kayla mentioned with area employers. So our faculty, department chairs, deans, they all have great connections in our industry with employers who are looking for those types of completers. So we're there to help make those connections as well.
And then Rawhide. Rawhide is a premier behavioral health agency. We are in the business of helping young adults and adults better their lives through mental health support. And so we are really passionate about trauma-informed care. Rawhide recently invested in our organization. Every single employee that we have, from our CEO to the people working in the cafe to our staff that work with our youth, every single employee goes through a 5-day trauma-informed care training, because we believe that it is that important to understand what trauma is and how we can work with each other and the people that we serve in a manner that's trauma informed. So we're really excited that we are bringing that training to Career EXCELerate. We have the opportunity to provide trainings throughout the year to Fox Valley Tech faculty, as well as Goodwill staff and any other people who might be integrating into the Career EXCELerate program and working with the students. We also provide mental health support for the students as they are going through the Career EXCELerate program. So Goodwill meets with the students upon intake. Rawhide navigators also meet with the students upon intake. Our navigators are mental health coaches who start building that relationship with the students from the very beginning. We know that building a safe therapeutic relationship will help the students build that trust and feel comfortable to share with us what they might be struggling with, whether they have become homeless, maybe they're struggling with substance abuse, perhaps they're in a situation where there's domestic violence going on in their home. All of these are real life examples that we've experienced over the last semester working with our students. And so that navigator is with the students in the classroom while they are taking the classes. They also check in with the students on a weekly basis to see what kind of resources they might need. And then we partner back with Goodwill if it's their area of expertise, or we partner them and connect them to resources within the college as well. And the really cool thing is that not only do our services continue through their education here at Fox Valley Tech, Goodwill and Rawhide will also be providing ongoing support once the students complete their education here at the college. We will be helping transition and helping them find jobs, learning how to interact, and sometimes their very first job that these individuals have had, and then we'll provide that ongoing support for up to a year afterwards. So we're gonna talk a little bit about who's eligible for our program. As Kayla mentioned, sometimes programs are created, especially grant programs, with the best of intentions, and then it can be really difficult to get those services. We have learned about a lot of different programs that are offered throughout the state, and sometimes there's a very long list of requirements. So our goal truly was to help whoever walked through our door in some manner. Now that means that there's times where we might need to provide some different supports before someone comes through Career EXCELerate. However, we do have some general guidelines for eligibility. The program was designed for people who need extra support. While we don't define that specifically, we don't say you need to have a certain mental illness or a formal diagnosis. We are looking for those individuals who are struggling in some way. Perhaps they've experienced trauma. Maybe they struggle with anxiety, depression, bipolar. Perhaps they have had a lot of community resources that they need. Maybe individuals were homeless and they're just kind of getting back on their feet and they don't really know where they want to go. They don't have a lot of formal skills training. So we're looking for individuals who need that extra support that can utilize the resources that both Goodwill and Rawhide provide, as well as someone who's looking to gain that skill set that Fox Valley Tech will provide in one of our 8 pathways. There's also some requirements that are built into the pathway specifically, right? So as Chris shared, these students are going and taking regular Fox Valley Tech classes. We're not changing the end requirement for our students in welding. They still have to be able to pass the same weld test that any other student would pass. We are simply providing additional support and accommodations along the way. So a few examples, our students who go through the CNA pathway, they do have to take a background check just like every other student, and the clinic sites have the ability to say yes or no to that background check. Another example, our truck driving program, right? Our students are still going to have to take the same federal test to obtain their CDL. We want to keep everyone safe on the roads, and so they have to have a certain reading level based on the CDL requirements and go through a series of steps such as a drug test and a physical. So obviously we work with the students to make sure sometimes they do have an interest in a certain pathway, and perhaps because of their background or certain limitations, it might not make sense for them to continue in that pathway. So that's where we provide career coaching and help them pick a pathway that we know that they can be successful in. There has to be a willingness, right? A willingness to attend the classes, to be engaged, to meet with the navigator for those weekly check-ins, and be willing to work on different areas as needed. Finally, there also needs to be a commitment to obtaining employment in their field after they complete the program. And ideally, we're looking for people who want to stay in the Fox Valley area for 1 to 2 years afterwards. Our goal truly is to create those long-term employment relationships. And on the employer side, we want to partner with organizations and say, hey, we have students who are trained and committed to staying in your organization for a period of time. So as I shared, while our goal is to help every single student who walks through our door, we recognize that there's going to be sometimes limitations or barriers that need to be taken care of prior to going through the Career EXCELerate program. So if someone does not present with any struggles, they don't need any financial support, they don't need community resources, there's no trauma, no mental health struggles, really there's other programs that may be a better fit. We're looking to help individuals who are truly struggling, so we want to be responsible with the grant dollars that we've been awarded. Additionally, there are times that students walk through the door and they're not ready to add in the stress of going through college courses. So that could look like a number of different ways, right? If someone's anxiety is so severe that they haven't left their home in 2 years, we're not probably going to be successful in having them come through the program until we work on treating that anxiety. If somebody is experiencing active psychosis and needs to see a mental health professional or perhaps have some inpatient treatment, we need to have that taken care of first before they're going to be able to be in an environment where they can learn. Additionally, if someone is having thoughts of wanting to harm themselves or someone else, we want to make sure that they are stable in their emotional and mental health before we add on additional stressors of school. And so those are all things that we look at and work on with the students during our intake process. And sometimes we have had this happen where we need students to engage in some further resources and then say, let's try to get you into the next semester. We also recognize that, again, they're going through Fox Valley Tech classes, and so there is a certain level of learning required for those classes. So if an individual has severe learning disabilities or cognitive disabilities that they wouldn't be able to learn at the level required for the pathways, again, we would coach them and maybe find other programs, which is exciting that our 3 agencies are partnering together, because there have been students who haven't been a great fit for our program, specifically with Career EXCELerate, and we still have been able to connect them to various resources across our 3 organizations. And that's truly our goal, is to help people down the path wherever they might be going.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about each of our 3 agencies and who might be eligible for this program, who might not be, but let's talk about the program. What are the elements of the program that someone's going to experience, and what does that look like if you're going through the program? So there's 3 different stages to the program that you see on the screen. There's the enrollment and onboarding and preparation phase. There's the technical skills training and one of the 8 career pathways that you saw earlier, and then employment following that. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into each of those parts of the program. So starting with enrollment, onboarding, and preparation. So when someone is referred, there's a couple different ways that they can be referred. We'll have a slide a little bit later with referral information. It can be as simple as emailing the general Career EXCELerate email address, calling our general number. There's a website that has a brief referral form on it. So there's a couple different ways that you can access us. Once someone is referred, they will go through an intake process. So Chris had talked a little bit about the intake process, but that's with each of our 3 agencies. We collect information like demographics from the individual as required by the grant. We go through some different assessments with the individual, and the assessments are really just to start assessing what kind of wraparound support they might need, what their interests are for the career pathways, things like that. So we can really start to wrap around as a team and provide them with support so they can be successful in the program. We have an orientation, as well that someone will go through. So the orientation is a group orientation, and that's where we start to embed some of those skill sets already. So we're teaching a little bit of financial literacy in the orientation. We're teaching some of the soft skills already, some of the employability skills to really prepare people for their educational pathway and then future employment.
So then this is where the technical skills begin, is when they're in their program. So as I mentioned before, there are those 8 pathways, and they're going to be held right here at Fox Valley Technical College. And when we identified credentials that could be earned, we were looking for short gains, that somebody could be successful in a short amount of time. So the programs are either 1 or 2 semesters long. Sometimes they have just 1 class, like nursing assistant, just 1 program. Sometimes there are multiple classes within their credential that they're earning. So the goal is that when they reach that level of success and they have the opportunity of either becoming employed, continuing on with education, whatever works best for them. I should point out too that with truck driving, that's a little bit unique in that we have Class B truck driving, which is 2-week programs, and then Class A truck driving, which is 4-week programs, and those continually are being enrolled. So that schedule is a little bit different. So right now, we're in the very first semester of this program, and we will be running these classes through spring of 2025. So I think what's really exciting is that there's plenty of opportunity for many participants to still take advantage of this training. I think that's all for me.
Employment, the final phase. So employment, the power of work can be really understated for people. If you think about the jobs that you've had, the networks that you've gained, maybe the self-worth that sometimes that your job brings to you, this is a really important piece that we want to make sure we're connecting people to through this program. So there's a couple different employment supports that are available to individuals that go through this. So one is that job preparation phase. What does that mean? So that means maybe creating or updating a resume. We can look at resumes for people if they already have one created. We can help create one from scratch to make sure that it's a great resume that they're feeling comfortable and confident with to share with future employers. Mock interviews. Interviews make probably 99% of the population nervous. It's not a statistic that I would quote, but I'm willing to bet on it. Interviews can be really nerve-wracking. So really helping people start to practice common interview questions, etiquette, nonverbals in interviews. We want to make sure that we're really taking time to slow down and talk about that interview process, coach people on it, practice it, things like that. Applications, helping people fill out applications, even just helping people gather the information to fill out applications is a big piece of the puzzle. Applications can ask a lot of different questions, and we want to make sure that we're helping people gather that information and helping them answer those questions fully. Coaching around employment as well. So just general employment etiquette, employability skills, we want to make sure that we're helping people with. Employer connections. We've talked about this a couple times, but all of our agencies have some pretty wonderful employer connections. And in addition to just connecting people with employers, we're purposely connecting people with employers that are recognized as being great employers in our area. So what does that mean? That could mean that they're willing to upskill individuals if they want to continue on their career pathway. If you noticed something like certified nursing assistant or early childhood education teacher's aide, that can get someone in the door in that pathway. And we really want to partner with employers that are invested in the growth of their employees to help them continue from there if they'd like. So it can be a long-lasting career. Also, employers that treat their employees well, right? That are known for that in the community. We'll help them with maintaining their employment in the industry that they completed their certification in, with that ongoing employment retention support as well. So we've talked a little bit about that. Goodwill and Rawhide will stick around with the individual for a year after their employment is obtained to help them along the way. Maybe there's different change can be a big thing for individuals, right? For all of us. So helping them navigate that change of having a new job, employer expectations, relationships, employment schedules, maybe wraparound support there for transportation, childcare, housing, things like that. And then our goal is that the employment supports that Goodwill and Rawhide will provide throughout that year after placement will taper off. So then that individual will become independent in their job with their employer following that 1 year mark.
All right, so we've given you a broad overview of all of the pieces of this program, and really getting started is as easy as contacting Goodwill, using the website or the phone number listed. We'll for sure have brochures available as well. And you can connect with any one of us. As you can see, we're all really enthusiastic about this program, and so we could talk about it for 4 hours, but we won't. So with that, it's time for questions, and each of us would be more than happy to answer any of your questions.
So Lisa's gonna go ahead, and I'm not sure if this is her first time hearing this, but she's gonna watch the people. And then we'll do online questions.
Is this working? Yeah. Oh, can you go back to the email slide, please?
Surely.
Okay, thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about how many people are enrolled currently and how it's going?
We have about 40 people enrolled. So we were awarded, our teams were awarded the grant in end of June, early July and of last year, and we launched our first semester in January. So we have about 40 individuals enrolled, expecting them to all complete. So truck driving, as Chris had mentioned, is on a little bit different of a schedule. It's a little bit quicker turnaround. So we've had some completers with truck driving already, which has been really exciting. And then the rest of our pathways that are currently running will be completing in May. So we'll have a celebration for them, and we're already looking to our summer and fall cohorts already.
How did you receive most of your enrollments? Where did you, yeah.
A variety of different, so nonprofit agencies, human services agencies, social services agencies have been a really great source of referrals. Additionally, Fox Valley Tech too, they're getting in referrals of students that might not be successful in completing their education without this wraparound support for the reasons that we listed in eligibility. Then they've referred individuals internally, which is really great. Gosh, we have worked hard on our website too. Our marketing teams have come together to make sure we have an online presence. So social media, our agencies have done different ads on social media to help get the word out there and have an online presence. We were really excited that you can Google us and it pops up now. So we've had some Google referrals as well. So it's been a combination of those different entryway points for people.
Hi, this is fantastic. Could you talk a little bit more about how you selected those 8 pathways? I heard you talk about short time in getting them. And I'm wondering, did we think, are these a lot of openings in our area? And are these like sustaining wages when they get out of these pathways?
Great question. So we did a lot of research when designing the program and used data from Wisconsin, things like that, to show which industries specific to our territory, our Fox Valley region, the Fox Valley Tex region, which industries are in high demand and high growth. So that's how we narrowed down pathways. And then we really wanted to be that foot in the door for people and not create pathways that maybe took 2 years to complete or something like that, because we recognize people might need a quick turnaround just to get their foot in the door for the path. So things like, I kind of pick on nursing assistant and early childhood teacher's aide, because we know that those wages are kind of starting wages, right? But then our goal with employers as well is to select employers where people want to continue on that path. We're partnering with them with the resources in order to do that. So this is the first step for them, get a job, and then let's continue that pathway. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm wondering what age your students are, and if you're, depending on their age, if you're partnering with any high schools, because like CNA and early childhood teacher would cross over to some of that. And then secondary, with some of those tracks, are you specifically collaborating with any employers? I'm from data care, so I'm interested in this.
Oh. To your last question, yes. So what we're working on right now is identifying some of those great employment partners that we really want to identify as maybe preferred employers or great partners that can engage throughout the process for individuals too. So what that could look like is job shadows for people if they're conducting any career exploration and not sure which pathway they want to go down, as well as participating in that mock interview process. It's great to hear Kayla talk about mock interviews, but to hear it from an employer, it can have a little bit more weight. And then really get to know those participants and those completers and be able to see that candidate pool first to look for employment opportunities. So yes, and then to the point of I can share the mic for age and our partnership with students as well.
So there's not an age limit. When we wrote for the grant, I think we were thinking approximately 18 to 24, right? Those students who are coming out of high school, we're certainly partnering with the high schools and doing presentations at the local high schools. What we have found out is that our age right now in the program is 18 to 69. We have a lot of adults who are coming back for further education. Our young lady at 69 was retired, and due to some significant life circumstances and a death of a family member, she had used up her entire retirement fund and probably didn't have the best counseling, lack of resources around some of that area. And so she suddenly found herself needing to re-enter the workforce as a retiree. And so we are able to help her gain the skills that she needs. She found a passion for the pathway that she chose. And she's actually really excited to be able to work in that pathway, and it's helping supplement her retirement income. So we have stories like that all across the board. Probably the average age is 25 to 30 in our pathways right now. So we serve everyone.
Just gonna add regarding nursing assistant, one consideration is the clinical placement for those students. So our department chair here is working with agencies where she knows she can place completers in a clinical setting. So I would recommend, if you're interested in that type of pathway, speak with me later and I'll get you connected with her so that you can find out more about how those clinical settings are chosen.
We also so recruitment is always on our brain, right? We want to make sure that people know about us if it could be a benefit to them. So we are creating a plan to go out and actually present to different high schools in the territory as well. So then counselors, principals, special ed directors, things like that know about this resource for folks.
I just have a quick question. I know you have mental health as your primary focus area for eligibility. I'm wondering if you have what you do around literacy and assessing literacy, and what is your program? Is there pre-programming for kind of that in that area?
I'll speak to it a little bit and then they can add in as well, but yeah, so in some of the pathways, there's the AccuPlacer that individuals need to take, and then that assesses where they're at, different educational levels of where they're at in core subjects. And then we have an adult education staff member from Fox Valley Tech who's on the team and provides additional tutoring and support, so that if someone isn't quite at the reading level they need to be at for a certain pathway, we can provide some education support there for them to hopefully get them there.
And I can add real life stories to the examples here. So we actually have one gentleman who was receiving literacy support services at Fox Valley Tech. The person that he was working with recognized like he might be a good candidate for Career EXCELerate, so connected him with us. And so as it turns out, he was able to continue with his literacy program through Fox Valley Tech, co-enroll in the Career EXCELerate program. He's almost completed with his degree or his certificate in woodworking, the first person in his family to go to college. He has overcome a multitude of barriers in the community, legal, financial, so many things. And what's really neat is that his adult education instructor and the one for Career EXCELerate have continued to work with him and support him in his journey. So we work very closely with the team here at Fox Valley Tech to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students wherever they're at.
Along those lines, we do have a question online from William. I'm just gonna run through this. He says, sorry if this is long. I was wondering about the screening process for those employment connections. Since the workforce crisis is a two-way street, many employers make the situation worse through wage stagnation, deliberate understaffing, not providing any workplace benefits, such as health insurance, lack of sick leave and PTO, the double-edged sword of at-will employment, the causalization of work and the gig economy, aggressive union busting, automation both in the application process and of actual roles, and either explicit or implicit discrimination and bias in the hiring process for those of underrepresented groups. How are employers chosen to prevent participants from continuing to be trapped in low-paying, high-stress, dead-end jobs?
That's a great question,
Thank you,
William.
William.
Very accurate scenarios that are going on in our economy right now. The really cool thing about the power of our three organizations is that between our three organizations, we have a lot of connections. And so we are using those connections and leveraging those connections to ensure that we are connecting students with employers who are going to be supportive and understanding of just basic needs, right? Their mental health needs. So part of the reason that we're going to continue that support for a year afterwards is so that we can make sure that the students are getting what they need in terms of mental health support, community resources, things like that.
I think that this is a very timely question because we were just talking about this last week as a team. And we developed some basic criteria that we're looking at for employers. I actually had an opportunity to share that these two haven't heard this yet, but I had an opportunity to share that with the state of Wisconsin to get their feedback. And a couple examples is an employer who through our agencies, we have some longstanding relationships with employers. So we've seen if an employer is really invested in their employees, if they are going to, it's great that you have tuition reimbursement, but are you allowing the time for the person to go? Are you supporting them in that way? Are you supporting their dreams? Are you having conversations with your employees that look like that? We know that on a little bit of a deeper level because of the relationships that already exist, which is helpful. But also we created some basic criteria just so I'm not defining good in a different way that Carissa might be defining good, in a different way that Chris is defining good. And an example is that I'm gonna steal from Carissa because it was a great one, is also an employer that if something's going on with an employee, they're not approaching it from a like, what's wrong with you? And jumping to corrective action right away, but they're approaching it as, hey, let's understand what's happening here. Let's have a conversation first. If you're habitually late, is it because you are struggling with being connected to different resources? Is there something going on in the home versus jumping right away to saying, you're late, this is the corrective action, next step is this. So kind of trying to vet employers that way is what we're working on now. While also knowing that people don't have to just work off of that list of employers. If someone comes to us and is like, my dream is to work here because I know this employer and et cetera, then we'll help fulfill their dream.
Karen has a question over here as well. I was just gonna add to that last question that we do rely heavily on our instructors in each program. They've got years and years of experience of having students placed with employers. So they have real world experience as well as what they have seen and the stories they've heard when students come back and report on how things have gone at those employers.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. I have two questions. One, where you've seen that a lot of your participants or enrolled participants are coming from right now. Like what areas, cities, like that. And then I'm also wondering if, like, beyond the mental health challenges that we know, what are some of those biggest barriers that people have come to you saying, this is what's been keeping me from maintaining regular employment, other than what we just talked about, right? The last question. But like, are there 2 or 3 things that you could really point to right away? Thank you.
Yes, definitely. So we are seeing students, and Kayla might have specific statistics, in the Fox Valley area. We wrote the grant to serve the counties that Fox Valley Technical College serves, so Calumet, Outagamie, Wapaka, Washera, and Winnebago. A lot of W's there. However, we have students who are coming from Brown County as well. We actually have quite a few students who travel from the Brown County area. So the majority of the students probably Outagamie, Winnebago, and then Brown County is probably a third one, even though it's a little outside of our scope. Certainly the struggles that students are experiencing, we have probably the top one is transportation and gas. And so one of the really cool things about our program is that we are determined to find resources. And so we've partnered with several other programs in the state of Wisconsin. The program itself covers all the costs for education and supplies. However, we didn't have specific gas money available to students. So we partnered with several other programs in the state of Wisconsin to be able to get resources for our students for transportation and gas money. And I would say probably the third one is housing. Students are really struggling with stable housing and housing that is safe. So I'll turn it over to Kayla for anything else.
That was well said. I think that we were expecting childcare to raise some tab too, and it hasn't yet this current cohort, so we'll keep an eye on it. But financial stability is certainly something that we're seeing, and we're seeing it in transportation and housing.
Thank you. I just want to point out, it is 1 o'clock. I just had a couple comments too. I was thinking about from the employer perspective, just based on the work we've been doing, it's really, really important for us to work with employers that have that perspective of cultural competency. And I think that that's the area you were starting to talk about. That's a challenge for us, because for us, we built our work on trust. And for us to, connect somebody who's looking for a position with an employer, and there is not that cultural competency. They may think there is, when in fact there's not. So that's a struggle for us. The other thing I was thinking about is from the delivery of your program, literacy is woven in, but do you have bilingual navigators on your end who are also working with the individuals as well?
I wish we were all bilingual. I've got sign language covered. We would look to Fox Valley Tech if we needed additional support for language and learning. We certainly have several students who English is their second language, and so we're constantly checking in and asking them right from the beginning, do you need any support? Do you need things translated, either written materials, things like that? So certainly while we're growing our team, we don't have bilingual navigators at the moment, unless Rebecca's got secret skills, I don't know. But we have a wealth of resources, and so we're always checking in with our students to see what they need in that area.
And I will put the plug in along those lines too. Looking at that setup operationally, if you have translated information about the program as well. That has consistently been a barrier for us in our work in our communities that we serve as well.
We do not currently, and I think that that's something that I'm now planning to take back to the team, because I think that's a great point.
And thank you very much for sharing all of the information today. We appreciate you being a part of our MCC meeting today, so thank you. It's exciting to hear and learn more about such an awesome resource and program in our community. And with that, I know it's 1 o'clock, so if you have to leave, and you're welcome to grab a plate to go. But does anybody have anything they want to share about their organization, upcoming events? We won't make you come to the front of the room because I know we're short on time. Anyone need the microphone? Victor, you always had a lot of things going on at the National Public Library.
Well,
See?
I'm an outreach specialist with the National Public Library. I do translations, so you can throw it my way if you need to. We're gonna have a special event at the end of the month. I focus on the Latinx community, but that's my specialty, my specialization. A Day of the Child, and it's a Latin American holiday. It was invented by the United Nations. In Mexico, it's celebrated on April 29th, and it's been transitioned over to the US by educator and author Pat Mora. So on Saturday, April 29th, we're gonna be celebrating Day of the Child. So 12:30, we're gonna have some performers, the Blue Jay mascot's gonna visit us, a magician, and some traditional singing and stuff like that. We've just created a Chicano cultural center, Latinx. So right now, our next meeting is on Saturday, the 22nd. We're studying the Aztec calendar, the fifth sun, and the glyphs on that calendar. So we have an expert named Julio Vasquez and myself who are gonna be teaching on that, and more events coming on later during the year. Thanks.
There's a great calendar on the National Public Library's website too for all of those details.
Thank you, Victor. That's awesome. Anybody else have anything from City of Appleton? No? You guys are good? Oh, got someone here. Hold on.
For those of you who are sitting on a board or a nonprofit or
Running a nonprofit, I'm with Nonprofit Leadership Initiative, and we offer training and programs for nonprofit. And we have 2 things coming up on May 2nd. We have a speaker talking about fundraising and board engagement. So if you're interested in that, check us out. And then if you're in charge of program budgets and finances, we are running a full day seminar with an excellent person that can tell you. It's called True Cost of Impact and how to figure out what your programs cost. And that is on May 31st.
Anybody else? Okay, oh, Kyle, thank you. Yeah.
Kyle Armstrong here with the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region. Just wanted to shout out that the Wapaka Area Community Foundation funding cycle will open soon, and so those applications will be due in June. So if you serve Wapaka County or the Wapaka City region, please take a look at the Community Foundation's website and find our regional affiliate links.
Good. Anything else? Yes, Gina, somebody online?
Yes. All right, thank you. First, I also just wanted to say to our presenters that there were a lot of messages of thank you and wonderful presentation. And then another comment from William, but the skills enhancement program at CAP Services in Allegheny County has lots of slots available. Our requirements are a little more strict than Career EXCELerate with a workplace requirement of 20 hours a week. But we can fund AAS and TD degrees, and he will have that link in the chat, which I will be glad to share.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Oh, yes, Thomas.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Zhang. I work in Diversity Inclusion Services here at Foxbury Technical College. I reserve this. So from Heritage Month, which is April here, Foxbury Tech is doing a event every Wednesday. Well, this Wednesday or tomorrow, we're going to be doing a social story call gathering. So we're gonna be at E130, have chairs in circle, and you can come and make your own story call and converse. Or back then, how they like to do it is they like to tattle on each other. Right? So, but that's a good way for you to meet other peoples and connect. Next Wednesday, we're doing a night in the jungle right here in this room. And it gives you the experience of what the home people have to go through to get from Laos to Thailand. So we'll be running that in here. And then if anybody would like to donate anything at all, on April 20th, we are having a home conference here, which is home history conference, right in Foxbury College. We have a couple of colleges coming. We have about 14 different resources that's going to be having tables here. But the students are looking to see if we can have anybody want to donate maybe books, supplies, notebooks, and whatever you want to donate. Please let me know. You can send it straight to me or bring it up to the office in Diversity. But it's going to be for all high school students in the Fox Valley area and Oshkosh area. So right now we have about 100 students registered for this event, coming from Kimberly, Kana High School, all Appleton high schools, Oshkosh high schools, as well as Nina International as well. So it gives them opportunities to kind of learn about their own history, and then also learn about different resources and colleges in the area. So I know UW La Crosse is coming, UW Stevens Point is coming, Stout is coming, and many others as well.
So sorry, could you please repeat the day of the social story gathering, and then what was the date of the Night in the Jungle experience?
So the social story call is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, 12th, from 11 to 1 in E130. And then the Night in the Jungle is going to be right here in this room, C190, from 11 to 12, next Wednesday, the 19th. Yes. If you have questions, please let me know.
How can we get a hold of you?
I didn't bring my cards. But I can put it on the wall, and then everybody, we all have home, take a picture.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting us as always. We love this space. So thank you, everyone. I know we have a scheduled meeting for next month. I think it is virtual. Yeah, look at that. Thank you, Gina. Okay, so Tuesday, May 9th. So stay out of trouble until then, and let us know if you have any needs, and then remember, send us information and or needs to that our MCI or whatever it was.
Admin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.